After becoming pregnant at the age of 18, Mildred Jeter and Richard Loving learned that they were expecting a child. In June of 1958, the couple traveled to Washington, D.C. to get married because it was against the law for them to get married in their own state of Virginia. Why? Because she was black and he was white. After they got married, they returned to Virginia. But then some a-hole called the police and narked on them. Tattletale, tattletale. That night, the local police raided their home, hoping to find the couple having sex, which was also against the law. When the officers found the couple sleeping, Mildred pointed to the marriage certificate on the wall and was like, please, we married now. But that marriage certificate became evidence in the criminal charge that was later brought against them. No! The Lovings were charged under a Virginia code that prohibited interracial couples from getting married outside of the state and then moving back to Virginia. They were also charged with the felony of miscegenation, and that was punishable up to 1 to 5 years. 5 years? How about you live your life and I live mine? During the trial, the judge, douche lord, quoted, an 18th century douche lord. Almighty God created the races white, black, yellow, Malay, and red, and he placed them on separate continents. And but for the interference with his arrangement, there would be no cause for such marriages. The fact that he separated the races shows that he did not intend for the races to mix. On January 6, 1959, the Lovings pled guilty and were sentenced to 1 year in prison. No! But the sentence was suspended for 25 years if the couple agreed to leave the state of Virginia. And I'd be all like, pew! So they left and moved to Washington, D.C. But when they got to Washington, D.C., they were far away from their loved ones. And they fell on hard times because they couldn't find work. So Mildred was all like, oh, hell no, and wrote to the Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. And then RFK directed her to the ACLU. So the ACLU was all like, we'll do what we can. So then they filed a motion that set in motion a series of motions that got a lawsuit all the way to the Virginia Supreme Court. Kind of like Mousetrap. But then there was all this drama on the Virginia Supreme Court, and they upheld the convictions. And then the ACLU was all like, no, this is not going to work for us. And they appealed to the United States Supreme Court. On June 12, 1967, the United States Supreme Court overturned the convictions with a unanimous decision. Yes! The court ruled that Virginia's anti-miscegenation statute violated sections of the 14th Amendment. Doy. Chief Justice Earl Warren stated, marriage is one of the basic civil rights of man, fundamental to our very existence and survival. The 14th Amendment requires that the freedom of choice to marry not be restricted by invidious racial discrimination. Under our Constitution, the freedom to marry or not marry a person of another race resides with the individual and cannot be infringed by the state. The U.S. Supreme Court's decision was followed by an increase of interracial marriages in America. In 1975, Richard and Mildred were struck by a drunk driver. Richard died at the age of 41. Mildred survived, but lost her right eye in the accident. She died from pneumonia on May 2nd, 2008. She was 68 years old. The Lovings had 3 children. "11 months before Mildred Loving passed away, and on the 40th anniversary of the Loving case, Mildred released a statement commenting on Perry versus Brown and also comparing interracial marriages and same-sex marriages. This is what she had to say. "I believe all Americans, no matter their race, no matter their sex, no matter their sexual orientation, should have that same freedom to marry. I am still not a political person, but I am proud that Richards in my name is on a court case that can help reinforce the love, the commitment, the fairness, and the family that so many people, black or white, young or old, gay or straight, seek in life. I support the freedom to marry for all. That's what loving and loving are all about. In honor of the Lovings, happy Valentine's Day.